Yeah, man. I know a lot of people thinking I'm just gonna talk about my Texans and all that because I'm a football fan number one. Anybody that know me from Old City, career run to be exact, y'all already know 8400 block. Back in the day, I was football everything, man. Football behind the stop and go before it turned to sunny. It used to go down before they put that tennis court back there, at the back park, and we used to have the barbecues and all that, and meet up. And I can't talk about everything that went down back there, man. But when it came to football, man, your boy was out there doing his thing. But anyway, I digress. This ain't a football video. But football is my number one sport. Basketball, baseball, soccer, and then it go on. So I done gave you, some football stuff when on here from a couple of years ago. I'm gonna get back on that. But this video in particular, this is about basketball. And anybody that know me and know I'm gonna talk about my Texans, I'm gonna talk about my Rockets, and at some point I'm gonna get on the scrolls and all that, you know what I'm saying? So this is about the Rockets, man. I ain't gonna lie, I'm so proud of these boys, man. Anybody that's a diehard Rocket fan, whoo boy, we've been going through it. We've been having some good seasons. We got us 2 championships back in the day, back to back. We made it for some years, and Boston got us, and man, the West has always been tough. You could call me biased, but the West has definitely been tough. And now the West is back being stronger than ever. So I'm proud of my team. They clinched the playoff spot after playing against the Orlando Magics, not the Mavericks. It's a Texas thing. I ain't, shout out to my Dallas folks that I know, but it's always gonna be a Texas rivalry. So whenever we play the Mavericks, whenever we play the Spurs, and whatever, we gonna talk our shit. We gonna dap up later, but we gonna talk our shit. But anyway, after they played against the Orlando Magic, they, sit up here and solidified their playoff spot. Celtics, y'all a good team. Shout out to y'all. Y'all won plenty of championships back in the day. Y'all won championship not too long ago. But man, shout out to y'all. Because if it wasn't for y'all, we wouldn't have the coach that we have today. I ain't gonna muck up his name. Because I want my pronunciation of names ain't that good with certain names. So shout out to the head coach and former head coach of the Boston Celtics, man. I ain't gonna get into how we got him, but hey, if it wasn't for y'all sitting up here throwing him to the wayside, man, you can call me a homer, but man, what he's done for the Rockets organization in 2 seasons, going on 3, man, he gotta be up for coach of the year. Because if you look at how the Rockets was prior to that, we've had players that you can build around and that's still on the team now and stuff, but man, coaching is underrated. It's underrated. You can have some of these same players that were showing potential, man. You can tell, man, not having the right coach, it did something for them. It did something to them. You got dogs on this team, but if you don't got a leader that's going to be able to get the best out of them, be able to draft good, be able to make the proper adjustments from first half to the second half, man, you're going to have players that that's good, but they're gonna be like, what are we doing? You know, some of these seasons, man, I was just like, I don't know what this owner doing. And this was before we got the owner that we got now. I'm like, man, this ain't working. You need to change the coaching staff. You need to bring the coaching staff in here. They got a winning pedigree. Bring a winning culture in here. Because the coaches that you got coming in here, man, it just seem like they just here to collect a check. I ain't seeing the proper adjustments. I'm not seeing, these players like they believe in what you coaching, what you preaching. It's hard to kind of, get, especially when you got a young team and you got a person in here that ain't proven and battle tested, that they can't relate to. This coach here, they can relate to him. He gonna get on them when they messing up, and he gonna be just as loud when guess what? When they doing good. And he go to bat for his players. And you can't say they can't, how young folks do. They like to, what you do? Oh, I ain't did nothing but played in the NBA. Played for the Spurs. Learn from one of the best coaches, even though I hate to say it because he is San Antonio Spurs. Pops know how to coach. He ain't got to go out there and get, the big three and all that. He gonna get players to come to that organization called the San Antonio Spurs, and not only be talented, but play above their potential, play above their talent. He not going to these high-power programs and drafting them. He's getting players that, guess what? You probably gonna have to go on YouTube to sit up here and see how nice they are. Cause they ain't at he ain't drafted at these big name schools. He goes to these schools, he look at them drafts, through the draft. Yeah, players climbing up. And it seems like he does it on purpose. It seems like he just go in, you know what? He might not come from a big program, but it's something about his game that I know if I get him here with the Spurs, he gonna flourish. And it worked. And that's where our coach, then played for. And I believe at some point he was actually on the coaching staff. And then he went to Boston and got his own thing rolling. And he got them players playing. He had them players playing. Like a Tatum. For prime example. Haywood and the rest of the boys. Got them boys playing. Coached them up. And got them boys, contending in the East. Now, hey, we all know the story. We all know how he got fired. So I ain't got to go into details. Hey, sometimes as a grown man, sometimes we don't think all the time. And if you know, you know. But for whatever reason, they didn't stick with him, man. They didn't sit up here and back him up. They're like, hey, man, this shit bring too much heat. We gotta let you go. And the Rockets was like, what? We deal with y'all a couple of times out of the year. Sometimes one at home, sometimes we get you sitting up here, on the road. We get you play on the road, then we play at home. Even though we in two different conferences, we gonna see at least once a year. So we know what Boston brings to the table. And how well coached they was with him being at the helm. So if you willing to throw him out there to be all fair game, no restriction, bring him on down to H-Town and we're gonna show him how it go down. We're gonna take him to the good spots. Good spots to eat at. We're gonna show him that Southern hospitality. We're gonna show him to the Toyota Center because we know what he can do as a coach. And man, he came and hit the ground running. He done sit up there and met with the stars of the team. Told them what he expect of them. They were gonna hold him accountable, but he was gonna back him up. You know, they believe in him from the ground because guess what? They can't question his credentials. They can't question, who he is. They know who he is. So it wasn't nothing too much them players wasn't gonna do for him, man. And they couldn't throw up in his face that, hey, okay, they work in Boston, but they ain't gonna work here. Man, is you crazy? You better try it because what you been doing ain't working. So them boys can sit up here and say, you know what, we gonna buy into this. And man, everything he coached him and taught him, it's been working, man. They went from, man, being the worst team, worst record in the league, to being hardly no media coverage, to the only time you did get media coverage is because of the team that basically then blew you out night in, night out. That's the only reason ESPN and NBA TV and, that's the only time the Rockets was getting covered, man, because it was like, what team done beat you now? Did they beat you by a little bit? Did they beat you by setting a record for the biggest blowout? I mean, like I said, if you're a Rockets fan, man, you gotta be a loyal, diehard fan because you dealt with some very, very upsetting, depressing season, man. But you also had some fun. We had some good seasons. When you had Tracy McGrady, when you had Yao Ming, when you had Steve Francis, the franchise, when you sit up here, even James Harden, CP. We've had some squads that done well, but we went through that little drought when we had to clean out the garbage, clean out the locker room, the cancers in the locker room, and start over. And we went through our fair share of not so great coaches, man. This man came in with the same team, tweaked it a little bit, traded some, drafted some. He been coaching them up, and they've been buying into it. You see a difference. It used to be them Rockets players would play a game, and if they don't jump on you early and sustain it, if they got to play all 4 quarters, man, you see them. It's just like they didn't believe once they got down. If they have to be on top early. If they had to fight for something, it didn't seem like they believed it. Okay, we still got a second half to play. After halftime, we got 2 quarters. We got until that is say game over, fourth quarter, and it say 0-0 on the time clock. We still got a chance. They didn't believe. But this coaching staff with the head coach and the people that he, his staff that he done built around them, got them believing that, hey, even if you playing a team that's coming off a championship or just making it to the NBA Finals, that don't mean nothing. You're going to have to play us 2 halves, not 1, 2 halves, man. We ain't giving up. I don't care. Man, there was one game they just played just recently. Shit, they were down 25, 30 points. Them boys came back. That coach made the adjustment. He put 2 bigs in there. One of the players got, one of my favorites, Jabari Smith Jr., started cooking, got to the free throw line. That coach said, man, hey, hold on, let me put 2 bigs in here. One of the guys, I can't think of his first name, but his last name, Tate, came over there, chirped in his ear, man, hey, man, missed this last one. Go ahead, missed this last one. So Jabbar was like, huh? He said, man, missed this last one. Okay, he got it. You know what I'm saying? He missed the last shot to pair where it bounced off. Player caught it, tipped it back in. Now we gotta sit up here and got a tie ball game going into halftime. He make adjustment because he basically put both of his bigs in. So either way, our bigs were bigger than theirs, and they will have a better chance to, okay, if he miss it, okay, we can get this thing tied up. Because if he had made both shots, we still would have been down by 1 or 2 at the point. So it's just basically we basically probably would have lost. So if he didn't do that, if that coach ain't tell that player, hey, Jabbar to do that, man, we would have lost that game. It's little things like that that sit up here and go a long way, man. I see how he pulled those players to the side, and you don't see no. You gotta read lips, and you know you reading body language, and it's like they getting into it. The coach is getting into it with the players, or the players, frustrated with each other. You don't hear all these rumors or them not getting along with the coaches or the players not getting along with each other because their coach ain't playing that. He's like, nah, man, that ain't gonna work. The old way ain't gonna work. These boys number 2 got the 2nd seed in the West. Going into these seasons, man, Rockets wasn't being picked to be no contenders. Rockets wasn't being picked to sit up here and make no noise in the playoffs. Folks wasn't even entertained, other than being from H-Town, folks wasn't sitting up here to, even giving them a fair shot. They wasn't giving them a fair shot. Like, some people were still like, well, okay, but that was a fluke year last year. Y'all might not even make the playoffs this year. Man, these boys in clinch, they in the playoff, they number 2 in the West. And this okay, so now it's still a fluke. Another season. And it ain't just because we got to number 2 in the West because we beating up on sorry team. We didn't pretty much beat everybody in the West, except OKC, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think we beat them this year. But I mean, come on now. They only lost 12 games this year. But we didn't pretty much beat everybody in the West. We didn't need to tie the series with everybody in the East or flat out just swept them. Some nights we blowing our team. Some nights we get battle tested and hey, we gotta show that hey, we can come back from behind. But the key thing is you winning the games that you need to win. Now, yeah, they lost some games that they shouldn't have lost. And that coach didn't held them accountable for it. He also said, hey, man, maybe I didn't put them in the best position either. So he ain't just putting it all on the players. And players respect that when the coach come out and not just critique what they did wrong as players, but he also, hey, put his neck out there too. But hey, there's certain things I could have did better or did more of. So players respect it, man. When players respect you and they know that what you telling them is, hey, it's already been proven, you got a track record of winning. I know, man, if I'm not bought in, then guess what? I'm not going to have a roster spot. Your Jalen Green, your Jabari Smith, your Fred VanVleet. I believe that's what his last name is. Man, they got players on this squad that has no egos. That's what's the difference now. Unfortunately, we did have good players back in the day, but you had a lot of players who had egos and thought it was just about them and it wasn't about the team. Okay, well, you can make it to the playoffs. You had the talent to make it to the playoffs, but your selfishness, it ultimately caught up with you in a lot of them. Like the year we played Golden State. You saw it. But these players, man, they don't play with no ego. Jabari Smith was in the starting lineup. And then when the other boy, Thompson, came in and filled in for him when he got hurt, he was already playing good before Jabari Smith got hurt. And a lot of people thought he should be get more minutes. And sometimes as a man, that's prideful when you sit up here and been a starter and you got somebody nipping at your heels to be a starter. And because you got hurt, he came in and continued to flourish. Coach had to maybe come to you and say, hey man, we gonna have to keep this lineup the way it is and have you come up off the bench. Are you cool with that? Jabbar was like, hey man, make it do what it do. I'm still gonna get some minutes. I'm still gonna be able to contribute. Water under the bridge. A lot of people can't deal with that. When you get put in a starting rotation and you get that taken away from you, man, a lot of people can't deal with that. They ego, they pride be like, nah, man. They start making friction in the locker room. These players don't do that. If they got to start one night, cool. If they got to come up off the bench, cool. You got players on the Rockets that sometimes go down to the G League. Get some minutes. One of them was just drafted this year, Shepard. I think he came out to Duke. He go down to the G League, and he come in, and he get back on the regular roster. No egos. It's one goal. One game at a time. Let's get in the dance. Let's go as far as we can go. And if that leads us to the NBA Finals, so be it. So I commend this young team because it is a fairly young team. We do got some veterans, so you do have a sprinkle of some veterans, and that helps too. That you got a team that's not just all young players and nobody is a veteran. Because even as young as Jalen Green, he ain't a rookie. He's a veteran now. Steven Adams, proven veteran. Fred is a proven veteran. Matter of fact, I think he was on that roster that won the championship with the Raptors. So he's a proven winner. You got proven winners on this team that's stepping up, and not only, playing good, but they mentoring the younger players, and it's paying off. Me personally, I hope they sit up here and could take it all the way. Because the way they played and the way they played teams and flat out just beat them, the way they played teams when they had to have their backs up against the wall and made it happen, and they continue to do it consistently, they just got to keep this nucleus together and continue to build. So I look forward to some Rockets playoff basketball, man. Like I said, I haven't been able to go to the games in the last couple of years due to my work schedule. But like I said, I'm watching the VP right now. I got it low because I ain't trying to get no copyrights and all that. So I already know who won. But, sometimes you miss little things, when you got to go tend to your mom or you got to tend to your children or, things happen, get phone calls. But, I do feel like this game was a little bit too close for my liking, but when you got the dog mentality, you want to think you could blow everybody out. But man, these folks playing for pride, livelihood too, so sometimes you're going to have these close games. But man, they came out with the W from beating the Atlanta Hawks. Nice home game. Man, I ain't going to lie, it feels good to have all my sports teams being playoff contending, playoff or championship contending teams. And trying to build, and you have organizations like the Rockets, like the Texans, like the Astros, they're trying to show their fans that guess what? We ain't just taking your money and we not trying to build a championship culture, a winning culture. You see they drafting good. Are they bringing people from, trading for players or getting players that didn't hit the free agency market? And they coming in, they bringing players that's not going to just tear up their locker room. So, you looking at it like this. This is what the Western Conference stands look like. Let's see, let's go to the conference. Y'all might be able to see it, or it might be blurred, so I'll read it to you. OKC, 60-12. Rockets, number 2, 47-26. Nuggets is 45-28. Grizzlies is 44-28. Lakers is 43-28. And the Warriors crept up in the 6th spot, 41-31. 41 wins, 31 losses. Then after that, it's Clippers, Timberwolves, Kings. Yeah, that's a team that we've been struggling with, which is crazy because they 35-37 at the same time. Hey man, they record don't reflect how they play. And sometimes it don't always be the teams that's winning teams that have your number. Sometimes it be teams with losing records, man, that just had your number, man. I would have liked to see us, get a win against them this year. Because I don't think we beat them this year. I think each time it been either close or they pull out, man, and we just can't seem to get them. The Suns, I would have thought they'd been better this year. Mavericks. So, I mean, let's go on. But most importantly, my team is number 2 in the West. They continue to win. And man, it feels good to sit up here and have this from where they was a couple of years ago, where it was just like you just knew they were gonna probably lose a lot of these games. It was just a matter of whether it's gonna be a close loss or a blowout. To now, it's not a team on the West that I feel. It's not a team on the Eastern Conference that I feel. Now, do I have teams I'm like, okay, they're gonna have to they're gonna have to play the whole game when they play OKC? Yeah. Well, you got teams like the OKC, the Lakers, Grizzlies, they tough. Let's see. Yeah. You got your OKC, you know you're gonna have to play them. Them boys ain't playing. They for real. They the real deal. I give it to them. So you're gonna have to play them. The Nuggets, you're gonna have to play them. They done won championship. They playing good. We beat them once this year. Lost the last time we played them. So you're gonna have to play them. Grizzlies ain't gonna roll over. Lakers ain't gonna roll over. The Warriors getting back on a nice winning streak. So it seems like they figuring out, move some people around, brought some people in. So you're gonna have to play them. And even these teams that's below 500 or just under the top 5 seeds in the West, man, you're gonna have to play them. So we can't afford to be dropping too many games, especially if we want to stay in the top 5. And so far, they're doing a good job doing that, man. I look forward to every Rockets game. Probably next year, I'm gonna be trying to get back in maybe attending a couple of games throughout the year and see these boys up live. So that Rockets coach, man, you got my vote, man. You got my vote. But it's been real. I ain't gonna keep talking head off. Like I said, if you're a Rockets fan, hit me up in the comments. You know what I'm saying? Let me know how long you been a diehard Rockets fan. Have you been a Rockets fan? What year did you start being a Rockets fan? Maybe you can share some memories. Maybe going to a game or watching the Rockets win a tough game. Something like that. Like, comment, subscribe. Like I said, if you like me, man, I'm born in '87, man. So my first memory of basketball is, like I said, is watching the Rockets play. And I was hooked ever since. I enjoy the other teams. They cool, they great. But the Rockets do it for me, man. I've been loyal, even when it wasn't cool to be a Rockets fan. So now that they back on this side, man, I can appreciate it better. You appreciate teams better, man, when you went through them droughts, them losing seasons, and then they get back, turn back around. They turn it back around. And this owner, man, has really embraced the culture. He's doing a lot in the community. He's been bringing a winning culture here. He's bringing winning coaches around. He's getting players that buy into it and it's gonna fight hard, not just for a half, but a whole game. So, like I said, man, playoffs is around the corner. Who y'all got, man? You already know I got the Rockets. So you know I ain't picking nobody else. But y'all put that in the comments too. What team you rock with? How long you been a fan? Have you been a fan all your life? Have you been a fan some of your life? Have you just became a fan of them? Do you have multiple teams that you like? Me personally, I'm a homer, man. That's how I am. I got players on other teams I like, but teams that you gonna see me rock they apparel, it's gonna be my home team. So like I said, let me know what team you like. If you're a Rockets fan, put it in the comments. Share some of your memories or something like that, of going to a game or watching a game. If you got multiple teams, hey, let me know who your team is. If you got some ideas or some stuff that you want me to touch on, like I said before, drop it in the comment. hit the like button. You know, subscribe to me, share the video. Got more coming, man. That boy Trae Young, that's a dog. Even with how Atlanta Hawks is this year, man, he don't never give up. He don't never give up. Atlanta better not never let him hit the market, man. But these Rockets, man, putting them away. Right now it's 112 to 103. I know that ain't the final score. It's 2 minutes left. Jalen Green got it. Gave it to that boy Shadu. And that's another thing too. I'm gonna touch on that before I get up out of here. You know, players from overseas, they don't, I won't say they weak, because they not, but they don't play aggressive basketball like that. You know, they play more finesse. And this coach is bringing players that, you know, from overseas and making them play more aggressive. Because the dude wasn't like that at first. You know, he was more a finesse player. He'd get pushed around a little bit. You know what I'm saying? He'd get beat up a little bit. And I ain't gonna lie, he kind of would complain a little bit. But this coach, he like this. If you got any ounce of dog in you, I'm gonna bring it out. I'm gonna coach you up. And when we got this coach here, he done sit up here and made to where he playing more aggressive now. He dunking more, cause it used to be he'll get the rebound, just lay it up. He's like, nah, man, I'm gonna dunk this thing, man. Yeah, I'm gonna keep the finesse part of my game, but I'm gonna show these boys I ain't no pushover, man. When I get this rebound, man, I'm gonna be smashing on y'all, man. Hold on, y'all ain't just gonna be pushing me around like that. He put on some size on him. You know what I'm saying? He's starting to become a force to be reckoned with. He got an outside game as well as an inside game. Made the all-star team. So shout out to Shadu. And I know a lot of that also got to do with Steven Adams, because anybody knows Steven Adams. He ain't no pushover. He don't start nothing, but he ain't no pushover either. And I think that's another reason why they brought him over too, to help bring along Shadu. But hey, I'm gonna finish watching this game. Like I said, like, comment, subscribe. Got more content coming.